right. So I thought it would be interesting for our viewers to take a break from politics and climate change and all this serious stuff that we're all dealing with and learn a little bit about Halloween and its centuries old symbolism. So, according to the Library of Congress, Halloween has its immediate roots in the ancient Celtic celebration of Samhain. Samhain. I'm going to say Samhain.
I mean, we're gonna have to say that.
I'm going to go with it.
Neither of us speak Gaelic.
It's where we are right now. This is where we are, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say it a few times. Apologies if I'm getting it wrong.
Did you read the article?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're fine.
Yeah. No, I read the article.
Yeah, at least
this is what I'm going with.
That's all that matters.
So, Samhain or Samhain. I'm going to go Samhain. Which was the end of the harvest season when the veil between the spirit world and our own world is at its thinnest. So people would dress up, build bonfires to fend off ghosts. But the essence of observing this harvest time of the year dates back like thousands of years, like 6,500 years in Indo-European culture. And it is very Indo-European, this segment. So now Halloween might have started off as ancient and pagan, but Christianity wasn't about to let a good holiday go to waste as it swept across Europe. The church assimilated several holidays, a strategy started by Pope Gregory I in around 600 AD. For instance, the Roman pagan festival Saturnalia became Christmas, and likewise Samhain became Halloween to make conversion easier for the locals.
And then, and Easter. It's all, those are all
right?
pagan holidays.
It's all part of their big strategy, right? So you don't have to give up your traditions, folks. No, you just have to change your allegiance.
Yes, that's right.
So,
you just incorporate ours. You don't have to give up your traditions. You just got to add what we're putting down and kind of make it the more prominent. But it depends. It's like a come saw situation. It depends.
And it changes for different holidays.
How much power you have.
And it changes for different holidays. And I guess it's just easier to tweak it than abolish it altogether. So in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a day to honor All Saints, which soon became All Saints' Day. The evening before All Saints' Day was referred to as All Hallows Eve, which is when Samhain was. It was the eve. And this evolved, All Hallows Eve, into Halloween. This is probably something many of us have heard before. So the locals got to keep their creepy Halloween stuff, dressing up and lighting bonfires. But now it got its Christian saints attached to it. So the next day, you could feel guilty from last night's pagan debauchery. I mean, that's kind of how I viewed it. Like, they really got you there. So skipping later, we'll dig into some creepy symbolism that we got to keep, right? So that's what I want to cover now. Bats are most likely tied to Halloween because of Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula, and it's really just the creepiness of it. This is what is thought to have happened. Owls were birds of bad omens that fed on human flesh in Roman mythology, and in the Middle Ages, they were thought to be witches. The sound hoo signaled someone was about to die. This is what the people thought back then. Black cats were formally demonized by Pope Gregory IV when he published a church document stating that black cats were the incarnation of Satan. Can you imagine like the church doing something like that today? I mean, I know the church has done a lot of crazy stuff, but like the state of mind, it just like blows me away sometimes with people. In the 15th century, black cats were thought to be a witch's helper. Same goes for spiders, a witch's helper in medieval Europe. And similar to owls, witches were also thought to turn into ravens in the 1400s, an ability that allowed them to fly away and escape. And again, can you imagine seeing a raven or an owl and being like, oh, look, a witch is escaping? And I think people do stuff like that today. I'm just not superstitious. So I think it even goes beyond like a light superstition. I think they actually literally believed this stuff.
Are you taking liberty here? Do you know anyone in particular that, I mean, most, we have a lot of it's like, black cat cross your path, kind of stuff. I know. People say these things all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that they believe it to be like fact.
I don't know. I don't, people believe in religion. So I
mean, people do superstitious things, especially baseball players. So, I mean, I guess it falls into that. Sure. Go on.
And but it's like there's no counter to it. it's like, how do you explain this stuff? Like, there's no.
It's like better. It's a better safe than sorry situation too. That's why most people keep doing it, because it's like, well, what's the harm? It's like you spill salt and throw it over your shoulder. It's like, well, what's the? It's like it's already wasted, right? What's the harm?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. It's like chicken soup. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So in German folklore,
you have to turn around and like slap your baby. I mean, I think most people are okay as long as it's something that's innocuous and doesn't harm anyone. They're like, yeah, what's the harm in it? But yeah, you're right. If it got a little more, some of the old school stuff is probably a little bit more hardcore, and that's the stuff most people probably have dropped. Things that
we'll get into some more hardcore stuff. But
okay,
in German folklore, witches rode ravens rather than brooms. And that part made me think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail with
had to be Monty Python
European swallow. Where I'm
that's
like,
where it comes from.
How does a witch ride a raven? Like, how does that actually work?
Ridiculous?
Like, it's like, were you guys not thinking? Was nobody thinking? Or did the raven grow? Like, how does any of that work?
That's in Monty Python. It's what is it? If she weighs more than a duck?
Oh, well, that's the witch thing.
That's the witch thing.
I was talking about when the guy goes to the castle and he has to answer a question to come in, and
African or
he asks about the swallow carrying the coconuts, because he's like, how did you get coconuts? And he's like, there's a whole thing.
Well, the thing is,
the movie.
Well, that's funny. Well, I went to that. Now that joke makes more sense to me. Is she lighter than a? What is it? She's lighter than a bird, right?
Well, it's saying that the witch rides. The German folklore is a witch rides the raven.
Right. Which means
she would have to be lighter.
She would have to be lighter than
that.
The bird.
I guess yes. If you were going to think it through and say, okay, she maintains that size,
right? She
needs to be lighter, and yes, that does go into she turned me into a newt segment of Monty Python, where
she has to be. That's what they get to. That's the reasoning. I mean, I think this is probably where they're getting it from. I mean, it just dawned on me, but this makes that joke much funnier. Yeah, if she's lighter than a bird, and then it's because, and then what do birds do? They float.
So well, that's not what they say. They're talking about wood floats, wood burns.
Is that what it was? So it didn't have anything to do with birds.
It had nothing to do with birds.
Oh, okay. So I'm misremembering that completely.
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. It's good to know. It's good to know. Last time I saw it, I was like 13. So it has been a long time.